all of a sudden I'm seeing like Raytheon, they make bombs. And
Really?
they're like touting these like pride flags. I'm like, are you going to put like pride flags on your bombs that you drop on people? Like,
Hello, my friends. It's Tom Hatzis, your entheohistorian, historian, and the following is a clip from a larger interview I did with Mark Wooding from both Before School and After School, discussing my latest book, Psychedelic Injustice: How Identity Politics Poisons the Psychedelic Renaissance. If you're into this kind of content, please give this video a like and a share, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to both Mark's channels, Before School and After School, and find me on Instagram at tom.hatzis. With that out of the way, please enjoy this clip.
philosophy. And that brings us neatly along to culture.
Uh-oh.
Yes, now we're going to get into some more controversial ideology. I had no idea that there was so much controversy in the psychedelic space, but maybe you could lay out, you got a new book coming out, and maybe you could let me know like what you were setting out to accomplish with this new book.
Sure. So it's no secret that identity politics is just tearing society apart. And identity politics can appear both on the extreme right with the Proud Boys and also the extreme left with burning down cities, you know, between 2020 and 2021, 22.
You've seen it in Portland.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We saw that in Portland.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of identity politics in any capacity whatsoever. I find that identity politics, by their nature, are divisive. And so right now in psychedelia, it is left-wing identity politics that is sort of, I don't know, getting into the soup and causing issues. And so I wrote a book about why I don't think that's a good idea. And I focus on left-wing politics, identity politics in the book, because in psychedelia, there is no such thing as right-wing identity politics. I couldn't tell you, like, who, you know, the Proud Boy is in psychedelia. I have no idea. So I'm sure that Proud Boys probably eat acid every now and then. I don't know. I don't hang out with those kind of people.
Yeah.
But the book is just about the dangers of identity politics, especially when dealing with plant medicines, psychedelics and entheogens, getting back to them being non-specific amplifiers. I just think it's better if we amplify love, forgiveness, compassion, friendship, helping each other out. Identity politics is sort of the opposite of all that. It's all about, you know, we're the in-group and they're the out-group. And it just doesn't jive with me at all. And so I just wanted to, you know, express my thoughts about that in the book. And essentially it's me pleading with leaders in psychedelia to give up identity politics, because not only is the research put forth about identity politics, like, it has a lot of issues, and there isn't much truth with a lowercase t to a lot of it, and it's dividing people. Now, I do want to also say that with these sort of left-wing identity politic narratives, there are kernels of truth in there. I'm not denying, you know, like, there are racist people. And the thing is, we don't like them. Like, I don't know who those people are, but if you were to go to like the MAPS conference this year, it'd be about 15,000 people. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find a racist anywhere there, you know? So I guess my question is, why are we saying, like, there are certain psychedelic organizations that are saying, oh, the psychedelic renaissance, it's all so racist, it's all so racist. And it's like, okay, well, where is the racism? And you're kind of met with a blank stare. And it's like, yeah, maybe there's one or two people with really dumb racist ideas in psychedelia, but the whole of the movement is about unity. And so, you know, not denying that there are problems, not denying that there are racist jerks that exist, but I feel like certain aspects of that narrative are being exaggerated into areas that just, when you look at history, look at statistics, look at the receipts and the facts, it doesn't stack up at all.
So are these at like psychedelic conferences or?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because I'm thinking of anytime you get a large group of people together, you get a lot of virtue signaling.
Of
You get a
course.
lot of status games. People are worried about their reputation. They want to look good.
That's all psychedelic conferences are now.
I've never been to one.
Oh, I
So,
don't. I used to
yeah.
go to all the time, and
So,
I don't go anymore.
so what's happening now at these conferences that,
It's a bunch of. You said it yourself. It's a bunch of virtue signaling from the stage, caring more about status than about healing division. It's like, well, I don't want to be the person who says that, like, okay, it's just one thing that I address in the book. That comes from sort of psychedelic left-wing identity politics, is we'll hear all the time that First Nations peoples invented psychedelic therapy and that Western doctors stole it from them. They're like appropriated from them.
so we're not, Western people are not allowed to experiment with these things?
Well,
then?
not
I guess-
only are
yeah.
we allowed, I mean, these are a God-given birthright to all of humanity, but it simply isn't historically true to say that First Nations peoples invented psychedelic therapy and that Western doctors stole it. Just in the historical record, that is palpably false. It is a very high probability that psychedelic psychotherapy was invented in the West, and a very non-existent probability that it was actually invented by First Nations peoples. First Nations psychedelic rituals involve things like human sacrifice, cannibalism, the complete exclusion of women and the lower classes. Again, like the Aztecs, only the privileged male elite were allowed to eat these mushrooms. Like the regular guy on the street was not allowed, and certainly no woman was allowed. So it's like, okay, well, where are the Western doctors who are not allowing women, not allowing just average guys, sacrificing people and then eating them? Because if they're not doing that, then they didn't take anything from First Nations psychedelic practices. So I guess what I'm trying to do with the book is just, it comes down to this. We can't have unity if one group of people thinks that another group of people is responsible for all the evil of the world. It will never be unified. What I say is, look, all of our ancestors did some really messed up things. And instead of using that to judge each other today, why don't we look at the past, see the commonality, the horror of it all, and say, let's not do that to each other today. That is the point of this book. Let's not repeat those mistakes. Let's not pretend that anybody who doesn't look like you or is of European heritage is somehow evil and trying to steal your ancestors' psychedelic practices. Most First Nations peoples did not use psychedelics at all. The overwhelming majority did not. It's only in a few remote places with the great cities of Mesoamerica, the Aztec, the Inca, the Maya, and then some smaller groups like the Chichimeck is one of them, the Avavadas, another one, but it's very scattered. And in some cases, and this sort of turns what we think about history on its head, so I know that, some people might, gasp at what I'm about to say, but white Americans and some Englishmen actually were sampling peyote before the majority of First Nations peoples had ever even heard of it. Most First Nations peoples discovered peyote in the late 1800s, early 1900s, because it only grows in one tiny area of the world, which is essentially this strip in the middle of Texas going into Mexico. That's it. And it wasn't until modern roads and horseback riding, which were brought over by Europeans, that peyote could actually spread out of that tiny little location. So white Americans were sampling it before the Cherokee, before the Kickapoo, before the Navajo, before the Comanche. Excuse me, not the Comanche. The Comanche, though, discovered peyote maybe 5 to 10 years before white Americans did. So there isn't really a deep tradition that we're talking about. with peyote. When people talk about, oh, people have been using this for thousands of years. Yeah, that's true. There were very few of them, and those few people using it for thousands of years were using it for human sacrifice and cannibalism, and in some cases for community dances as well, which we could all get behind. But sometimes those community dances also ended with a person being sacrificed. Sometimes it didn't. But in most cases, again, even the ones that didn't involve sacrifice, women still weren't allowed to participate. It was the egalitarianism and the first wave of Western feminism that actually influenced First Nations peoples to allow women to join the ceremonies. So are we really all that bad? I don't know. Like, yeah, we've done some bad stuff. My ancestors did some messed up things. There were some brutalities that the conquistadors perpetrated on the people. That's all true. It's also true that all of those First Nations peoples were colonizing each other, slaughtering each other, raping the women of the other people, kidnapping the children and enslaving them. So again, the overall message is all of our ancestors did mess up things that we all find reprehensible. Let's A, stop pretending that only one civilization, Western civilization, was doing it, and B, use the fact that everyone was kind of nasty to each other as a reminder to be kind to each other.
That's very well said. And I can relate to a lot of the things that you were just saying. I almost feel like it's part of human nature to do this. It's a deeply narcissistic thing to try to weaponize guilt and shame in a large group of people to gain power for yourself.
Yeah, that's what critical social justice is.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's what anti-racism is.
It kind of simplifies the world into these two very simple categories of black and white.
Yep.
When in reality, nothing's black and white. I mean, the whole world is gray.
Yeah.
And the whole idea of cultural appropriation is absurd. It's like, if you don't want anything to do with the culture, you're racist. Yeah. But if you like the culture and you want to eat Chinese food or something, all of a sudden you're a racist for eating Chinese food. What the hell? Like, how can you win?
Well, that's the whole thing. They set it up so that, like the DEI instructors, they set it up in a way so that you're not supposed to win, Mark. You're supposed to feel guilty. And if you feel guilty, well, then they did their job. And that's it. If you don't feel guilty, well, they're going to, make sure you do somehow. And yeah, to your point, exactly that. It's like, if you avoid it, you're a racist. If you appreciate it, well, you're appropriating it. And it's like, that's not how culture works at all. How do we take something as simple as music? Most music, a lot of it comes from all these different influences. And it's like, if you were to just sort of take out piecemeal all of the influences, you're going to have way less interesting music.
And you can't live that way. I mean,
no,
what are we supposed to do? Like, white people only use things that white people invented? And if,
we did that, and it was called Jim Crow, and it was a stupid idea, so let's not do it again. We already tried that in this country, and it was awful. Let's not do that. Let's share. There's a documentary filmmaker came by and screened a film with my community building up in Portland. And one of the things that the medicine men said at the end of this documentary, he was like, no, it's like, we don't want to be separated. It's like, you have so much, talking to Westerners, you have so much to share with us and we have so much to share with you. So let's all share these technologies. And I'm like, yes, this guy gets it, he's got it. And that's what I want to see more of. And we can't have that if we're all wrapped up in identity politics. We just doesn't work. It's inherently divisive.
I totally agree. I saw a video that really made me smile. This guy put on a sombrero and a mustache and a poncho, and he went to a college campus.
Yeah.
And everybody said, you're being offensive, hateful, take that off. Everybody.
Yeah.
And then he goes to Mexican community and everybody's like, oh, I like your outfit, man. It's like Latinx is a great example. Or is that the term, Latinx? Latinx.
Honestly, I don't know anybody who even uses that term.
I mean, I play soccer with tons of Mexican guys. And one day I was like, do you guys know what Latinx is? They don't even know what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, it's something that an academic intellectual made up to say that, I know better than you.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm going to fix the world. My vision stand back while I fix the world. And people are like, there wasn't a problem, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you ever have a college professor telling you they're trying to fix the world? Run, because
Yes.
that is that's a demagogue in training right there.
'Cause they don't live in the real world.
They don't live in the real
Yeah.
world. And yeah, exactly. Like they invent, and it's a virtue signal. It's like, yeah, it's to the whole Latinx, or I've heard it pronounced like Latinx. I've also heard, again, I don't know people that use the term, so I'm not totally
You
sure.
can't even say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it doesn't roll off the tongue. And it's like, the other thing is, like, Spanish is a gendered language.
Yeah.
Like, like, yeah, you have the neuter, of course, but like, it doesn't even make sense within the language, and it's just very virtue signally, and it doesn't, like, yeah, I don't know any Mexican people that actually use it, and it's just this way of dividing us more. So I write in Psychedelic Injustice, the book that's coming out, how where I think all of this identity politics, it's existed in the United States, since 50s, 60s, all of that, but only recently was getting shoved down our throats. And I think that goes back to the Occupy Wall Street movement, because I was one of, like, the first, some friends of mine and I were among some of the first 50 to 100 people that gathered at Zuccotti Park. Like, it wasn't even called the Occupy Wall. Like, it wasn't called anything yet. It was just, I was at this open mic. I was part of this open mic community. We heard about this happening going on downtown, so we all went down there. And here's what I think happened. All these bankers and corporate guys, I won't be insulting, these corporate people, they looked down and they saw how unified we were. Because at Occupy Wall Street, Black Americans, white Americans, Asian Americans, Southeast Asian Americans, white collar, blue collar, gay, trans, straight, we were all standing unified, going, fuck you to these corporations.
Yeah.
So then what happens a few years later? They start flooding us with this, not to sound all conspiratorial, but I back it up with receipts in my book. So they started flooding us with all this DEI stuff, all this identity politics stuff, and so that we wouldn't see each other as unified, right? Because when we're unified, saying, fuck these corporations, that's really bad for business. When we're divided, we're all shopping a lot more. That's really good for business. And so they just flooded our society with this crap, keeping us separated. So now it's not we the people against the corporations that screwed us. It's the trans person versus the straight guy who's against the Japanese woman, and the Japanese woman is against the Latina woman. And it's like, and now we're all back to fighting and squabbling with each other instead of addressing what I believe to be, for lack of a better word, and I know it's a loaded term, but the real enemy. The real enemy, in my opinion, it's the deep state. It's the corporatists that fund the deep state, and the deep state that allows the corporatists to get away with doing the horrible things they do. And that wedding of, these corporations with the deep state, I think that is what actually drove this new, like, relentless identity politics down our throats.
That's very well said. Yeah, you've just made me think of a lot of things. For one, how disingenuous these corporations are. I mean, all of a sudden, when the time was right and they were reading the room, they all got on board this, like, DEI, like,
Yep.
pride stuff.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I'm seeing, like, Raytheon, they make bombs. And
Really?
they're, like, touting these, like, pride flags. I'm like, are you going to put, like, pride flags on your bombs that you drop on people? Like,
Yeah, right?
is that going to make the bomb, like, different?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, your company is about killing people.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
don't pretend like that if you post this one picture, you're going to virtue signal and that's going to, like, cleanse your sins.
But that's the heist. That's exactly what it is. That's the whole thing. And that's what they've been able to get away with, is exactly that. We're going to go bomb a whole bunch of people. We're going to slaughter innocents, women and children. Who cares? But look, we got a pride flag on our window. Aren't we just, the cat's pajamas?
I think people are figuring that out now.
Well, I
and
think
which is why they're abandoning it.
Yeah.
The second people started figuring out their, like, little grift, they abandoned it. And it's like, that just shows even more how little you actually cared about the issue. Because the second the winds turned,
Yeah.
you were like, oh, I'm going to take these pictures down. You know,
Yeah,
it's like,
of course. Yeah, I mean, they put it up for 1 month, Pride Month, they'll put the flag up. And then it's back to, yeah, who cares?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter because they don't care in the first place. And again, I agree with you, Mark, that people are absolutely getting what I think, and I'm sure I'm going to get some hell for saying this. I think that's why Trump won in such a grand way that he did. I think that people, I mean, all 7 swing states, the popular vote, and the electoral college. I mean, who does that?
I think we might get some flack for saying that in Portland, but online, and everyday folk can see why Trump won, because they were just getting gaslit and pushed into a corner where they were like,
And it was obvious.
like, I have to just trust my eyes at a certain point. Like, you're telling me the story that is not true.
Yeah.
And there's only so many times you can get gaslit.
Yeah, and what I'm fond of saying is like, all right, well, what do you trust more? Your lying eyes or the government?
Right.